The opinions expressed by the host and guests in this show are not necessarily the views of Children's Health Defense.
Good morning, CHD. Welcome to Pediatric Perspectives, where we are looking at children's health challenges from a different perspective. We're not afraid to ask tough questions and give you the honest truth. I am honored to have a very special guest today, Dr. Ben Edwards. Welcome to Pediatric Perspectives.
Hey, Dr. Paul, it's a pleasure and an honor to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
So you have a family practice in Texas. You're the founder of Veritas Clinic and Veritas Wellness. I learned about you during the measles thing, and it's like, we'll cover that some other day because you were just a hero the way you went in and served the population that was in need. So you will forever have my gratitude and respect. But I was reading your website, and I loved your journey into medicine. Maybe just briefly, because there might be viewers who don't know you well. I think you were exposed to grandparents who were like the old school family practice docs, but just give us a brief update of kind of how you got into medicine and how you then pivoted from what you and I were both taught in medical school.
Right. Well, yes, I grew up in a little town in Central Texas. Both my granddads were the doctors in that town. And so I just grew up watching them take care of the whole community, basically cradle to grave. So they could deliver babies, they could do surgeries, house calls, a lot of just amazing stories over the years. And so I saw what an impact they made in the community, and they just helped so many people. I wanted to do that. So I went to undergrad with that in mind and was doing some pre-med classes all along. But then part of me thought, I don't know if I'm smart enough to get to med school. Really don't know if I want to be in school that long. So I actually changed my major like 5 different times. But ultimately ended up going to UT Houston Medical School and then Waco Family Practice. Chose Waco because they train family practitioners to kind of do it all like my granddads. Do the little surgeries, could set broken bones, do the colonoscopies, deliver babies, all that kind of stuff. And then my goal is to get out and find a small town and just basically be like my granddads. Also had a great-great-granddad that was a GP back in the day, a couple of uncles that are MDs. So all these guys are allopathic MDs. And so that's what I did. We ended up in a small town out in West Texas called Post, named after C.W. Post, the old cereal magnate, Post Toasties guy. And that's another story. But so I was there just living my dream, basically. My wife and I got married in med school. We had our first baby in residency, and now we have 6 babies. But I was just in Post, Texas. I was the only doctor in the county. It was a county clinic, taxpayer funded. So lots of Medicaid, Medicare payers, and we were successful due to volume. So we saw a lot of people, and I did all the small town country doctor things. So, house calls, and was a team doctor on the sideline at the Friday night football game for the high school. Was medical director at the nursing home. I would go to the county jail and see the inmates. So really just take care of the whole community like my granddads. Did that for 7 years, and, didn't know any other way. I just knew the conventional way, which now I've come to learn there's shortcomings with that. There's a time and place for conventional pharmaceutical-based symptom management, which is what that is. We manage hypertension, manage eczema, manage asthma, manage diabetes.
Yeah,
we manage everything.
The symptoms, right?
Yes, and I had no idea. I had no idea that high blood sugar was a symptom. I thought it was a disease called type 2 diabetes. So we call all these things diseases, but they're just labels and descriptions of true symptoms for sure. There's true symptoms and suffering happening, right. But why is it happening? And is there a root cause that can be addressed, or is there not? And therefore, we just have to treat that symptom. We'll talk about eczema here in a minute because we see a lot of that, but that's obviously it's a symptom, and right. Yeah, you could call it a disease, but there is a root cause. Well, I didn't learn that in medical school. I didn't learn there was a root cause to any of this stuff. And after 7 years of that conventional practice, I met a doctor who changed my life. His name was Roby Mitchell. He has since passed away. He was kind of known. His nickname was Dr. Fitt, F-I-T-T, and that was his Facebook page and his website, drfitt.com. I met this guy. Blew me away. he started saying crazy stuff like there's no such thing as diseases. They're all consequences. And if you weren't born with it, you probably don't need to keep it, and just craziness.
Wow.
And it took me a
Craziness that
year.
turns out to be true, right?
Absolutely. But I'm so hard-headed and prideful and trained, brainwashed, really. I just couldn't believe it. When he said type 2 diabetes is almost always totally reversible, I thought, what in the world are you talking about? And this was in 2011. I thought, there's no way that's true. If that were true, the endocrinologist professor at UT Houston would have taught me that. The attending physicians at Waco Family Practice, who are great guys and gals that love people and love Jesus, I mean, they would have taught me that. And this can't be. There's no way. Well, so I just went back and forth with him, with Dr. Fitt, for a better part of a year. He would send me articles to read, books to read, conferences to go to. I was busy raising, at that time, 4 kids and a busy doctor. I didn't have time for all that, but he would say just enough to make me wonder, so this part of that made sense. That was the big thing. That kind of makes sense. But then the final nail in the coffin, and we can move on to the rest of the show, but he finally said, Ben, I'm tired of arguing with you. Send me your 10 sickest patients. The ones you've already referred to the specialist at Texas Tech in Lubbock, which was the highest next level of care, or to UT Southwestern in Dallas, is kind of known as the kind of smartest and best medical center in Texas, or even Mayo Clinic, or wherever they've gone. And they're no better, and they're back at your office in Post, Texas, looking for help. They're desperate. They're suffering. Those are the ones I want to see, and I'll just show you. And so I had plenty of those.
Yeah.
I had a lady with chronic urticaria, these rashes, these hives that did just come up and cover her body. She would claw herself at night to the point of bleeding. She'd been to all the dermatologists, the allergists, the immunologists, all these guys. Nothing but steroids. Kept coming back. A guy with chronic prostatitis, infection in the prostate, over and over and over. Been to the urologist multiple times. Couldn't resolve it. The worst diabetic. His blood sugar out of control. The worst fibromyalgia, lupus. These really tough cases. And they all came back well. I'm talking symptom-free.
Yeah.
Blood sugar normal, off their meds.
Yeah.
Blew
So
me away.
viewers, we've got a treat today. It's not just for children. This is for all of us, parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles. You, Dr. Ben, can take care of everything. But this identifying root cause is just so key. I had the same experience, eczema, the worst of eczemas. And you'd send them to the specialists. Like you said, it was steroid creams and what have you. Identify the root cause, and they actually got better. These are people who could never get better. So we're going to jump into what you're seeing in practice. I think I'm no longer in practice, so I love to talk to somebody who's in the trenches, get a sense of what's going on out there, and then we're going to dive in on this episode with just some tips for summer. And I want to hear your story about eczema too. So let's start with that. If you haven't seen Dr. Ben Edwards on the CHD TV program on measles, go find that. You made a statement in there about what your guiding rule of thumb was for your patients. Do you remember what that was?
Probably just do what's best in the moment, regardless of what a protocol says. But no, I don't really remember.
Yeah, it was take care of the patient in front of you.
Yeah.
Exactly what you said. I thought, yep. And so often doctors who are traditionally trained are just following protocols. They're no longer really paying attention to what's in front of them. What are you seeing these days?
Well, a lot of everything, but probably 2 things in the most recent past that seem to be recurring is eczema and seizures. Kind of totally unrelated, but yeah, an uptick of seizures, which honestly, this is my approach to everything, and it really comes from Dr. Fitt, that doctor 14 years ago started to teach me that everything's rooted in inflammation. It's easy to see that with eczema because it's red, inflamed, itchy. That looks like inflammation. But when the brain's inflamed, that can manifest as a seizure. It can manifest in other ways. I just read an article yesterday on depression is actually rooted in inflammation. So I'm always looking through that lens of inflammation. And there's things that will trigger the body to rev up that inflammatory response. But eczema, we can talk about that first. So in the traditional setting, conventional setting, that inflammation is going to be addressed with anti-inflammatories, namely steroids. So that can be topical steroids. And yes, they work to knock inflammation down because a steroid is shutting that immune response. It's like you're telling the troops come running out of the barracks with their flamethrowers, grenades, bazookas, and guns and all the things. That's the chemical weapons of mass destruction, we might say. Your immune system launches all this firepower. That's inflammation. And a steroid basically tells the troops, hey, there's nothing going on here. There's no enemy combatants around here. There's no foreign invaders. You just go back to the barracks and go to sleep. So they do. So the immune system cells will just turn off in response to the steroid telling them to turn off. So yes, it's not about that they don't work. They work. The redness, the inflammation, all that goes down. And I mean, that's good. Your babies aren't suffering. However, the problem with that is whatever's in the body that initiated and told the troops to, hey, come get me, there was a foreign invader of some sort. Something's triggering that immune system to rise up and fight. And the steroids are just telling the immune system, no, there's not. So whatever that thing is it triggered, it's still there. So eventually the immune system, the troops are still going to come out of those barracks eventually and go after that foreign thing. So it takes more steroid. It takes a higher dose. It takes other medications to try to tell those immune system cells to go back to sleep. And obviously that's not a great way to go. And other things you're going to be vulnerable to and susceptible to if you're suppressing the immune system. So, but one of those things that we find pretty commonly actually, sounds crazy, but parasites. So I think a lot of people understand the skin and the microbiome or the gut in general. There's a connection, an intimate connection between the skin and the gut. Just like the skin is a window into what's going on in the gut. So if there's imbalance in the gut, and that can be an imbalance of your flora. It can be an imbalance in the integrity of the lining. We call leaky gut when the lining of the gut wall is destroyed or disrupted in any way. The tight junctions open up. Now foreign material leaks across. 80% of the immune system, the troops, it's like the Border Patrol, 80% of these immune troops are right on the other side of the intestinal lining. It's called the GALT, gut-associated lymphatic tissue. So if 80% of your troops are right there at your gut lining waiting to see anything coming across the gut foreign, and if it does see a foreign thing, it triggers that immune system. So the gut is where we go with when there's eczema. But specifically lately, finding parasites and dealing with parasites, also Candida, which is a form of yeast or fungus that can overgrow. It's normal to have a lot of these different critters in our gut. The key is balance. We want plenty of really good beneficial bacteria that keeps the sort of bad guys like Candida and parasites in check where they don't get overpopulated. Well, we tend to see a lot of overpopulation of Candida and parasite, and that causes disruption in the gut. And it will open the tight junctions, allow lots of foreign stuff to come and irritate that immune system, and it can manifest as eczema. So we'll go after gut health as the number one thing when it comes to eczema. Now, that's not to say we don't give some, and sometimes even steroid temporarily, but you want to treat the symptom. We're not saying let kids suffer, but while we're treating the symptom, let's go to the root cause. It's almost like an analogy I'll give parents is like if you're at home tonight sitting on the couch watching TV, which I don't really recommend doing unless it's CHD TV, but you're just sitting there watching TV, and all of a sudden the living room starts filling up with smoke. And it's like, okay, I'll just jump up and open the front door and the windows and turn on a bunch of fans and let's get this smoke cleared out. And then we sit back down on the couch and keep watching TV.
To figure out where it's coming from.
Exactly. The house is going to burn down. So it's okay. Use a steroid to clear the smoke for a minute, calm inflammation, but then get to the kitchen and put the fire out. So in eczema, it's get to the gut and bring balance and order back to the disorder that's in the gut. And when you can do that, then the skin automatically clears up because the immune system now no longer has to fight the foreign invaders that were really coming through the gut. So we see a big intimate connection there.
I would add from just my experience with eczema, when you're looking for a root cause, you're absolutely spot on. It could be all the things going on in the gut, but sometimes it's toxins. Glyphosate disrupts that integrity of that gut barrier, the tight junctions you were mentioning. And sometimes it's food. So I had great success doing food sensitivity testing, and you'd see, oh my gosh, this person's IgG against gluten, dairy, eggs, even beef towards the end of my practice is off the charts. And you
Yep.
remove those foods, that's what's actually in those instances causing the problem, and it goes away. I mean, even the most severe cases almost always got better. And
Yep.
treating the gut, as you mentioned, is super important as well.
Right, I agree, 100%. Just had a case today of a young man, Crohn's, inflammatory bowel disease, and the main trigger in him was gluten. Just removing the gluten, the GI doctor wanted to put him on some high-powered immunosuppressants, and the patient refused, wanted to address diet. The gastroenterologist said diet doesn't really have anything to do with it. Imagine that. Which
Imagine that.
I used to say that too, because that's
Yeah,
how I was
so did I.
trained. But just removing that gluten, and boom, his ulceration's gone, the blood in the stool, all the things, the pain. So yeah, food can definitely trigger it. And I'll oftentimes do that. We'll remove certain pro-inflammatory foods, but over time, I think as we rebuild the microbiome, there's a study the other day I read, 94 different strains of good bacteria in the gut that'll actually break down gluten. But if you're missing those strains, and glyphosate will do that, glyphosate will wipe out your good gut bacteria, as will antibiotics and other chemicals. But as we diversify and bring back that microbiome, you sometimes can get reintroduce some foods and be okay. But the toxicity thing, for sure, which kind of goes into the seizure, I think we maybe transition to that because we've been seeing so many seizures. But glyphosate, the main ingredient in Roundup, we're in Roundup ready cotton central. I mean, cotton fields everywhere out here in West Texas, around Lubbock, where I'm at. So glyphosate's just in the air. I mean, it's in the dirt. The wind blows, the dirt's everywhere. We're all getting exposed to it. And it's not just glyphosate. There's lots of other toxins, even spike protein. That's a toxin. So when it comes to seizures, obviously, there's the gut could be related. There's a gut-brain connection too. We just happen to be really dialed in on toxicity right now. Spike protein in particular, glyphosate, heavy metals, from the drinking water and other sources. So we'll look more at a detoxification type of protocol when it comes to seizures, and a spike protein detox even when it comes to seizures. In fact, I was talking with my pediatric nurse practitioner at our lunch meeting today about a young boy who'd been having seizures for many, many months. Actually, it was a little Mennonite boy. His spike protein level was off the chart, and just addressing the spike protein, he's become seizure free. So there is a root cause.
Doctors wouldn't ever think about seizures being related to spike protein. So since you're seeing this and you're studying actual levels, are you seeing a correlation between those who've had the disease having very high spike protein levels, or is it primarily those who are vaccinated for COVID that are having the really high spike protein levels?
As a general rule of thumb, the vaccinated for sure, especially the more boosters they've had, and the literature even, there's published literature on this, the continual production of that spike. So those for sure tend to have a higher level and a more sustained level, even if it's been a couple of years since their last booster. But we have seen elevated levels in people who were not vaccinated, just had the natural infection. Possibly they're in an environment like a hospital setting, as employed by a hospital, where they're being re-exposed just from their environment, shedding. So it's, even if you're not vaccinated, it's something we'll look at, especially if the timeline really lines up, which often it does. If they know they had COVID-like symptoms 18 months ago, and 18 months ago roughly is when something dramatic started, we will definitely go there. And it tends to be neurologic and cardiac are the two areas that we tend to see the most with spike protein. And it's just this is a new and man-manipulated toxin, so we're kind of learning as we go. But we've had a lot of success, and other doctors have too. But it is definitely the art of medicine, and this is some educated guessing at times. But the patients are willing to do it. We're for sure willing to do it, to go looking for a root cause. And we, of course, informed consent. We tell them, hey, this isn't a proven, this is basically a theory. And the theory is we believed There's something inflaming your brain, and this is a potential. When you can get data like a spike protein antibody level that's elevated to support your theory, that's great. And of course, when you use a therapeutic that we know clears the spike protein and you get a beneficial clinical outcome, that supports the theory too. So that's one thing I encourage, especially my colleagues, to not forget the art of medicine, because if you're just going to wait for a protocol to come out of the NIH or somewhere like
Not
that,
coming.
yeah, exactly.
Not against Spike.
We've
So
got
I
to
was
be able to
just,
think outside the box and be critical thinkers.
yeah, I was just watching some news program, not news, sorry, sports program last night. I don't watch the news. Gosh, it's just propaganda.
Me neither. Yeah.
But anyway, in the course of just one, I think it was a baseball game, must have been 3 or 4 times long commercials, the American Academy of Pediatrics encouraging you to go talk to your pediatrician so you can get your COVID booster for children. It's like,
I can't believe I'm going to try to be polite here, but that based on even the evidence that's out there and published, that would seem like malpractice at this point to me from a risk benefit standpoint.
yeah.
Just unbelievable. But, that whole COVID-19 thing, which, I mean, we don't have time to go down that rabbit hole today.
Yeah.
But that was
maybe
one of the
another
most,
day we'll do that one.
yes, one of the most devastating times, but is one of the most eye-opening. So many people starting to not just buy the company line anymore, but they're starting to realize, hey, I need to take charge of my own health, and I need to find some good independent news outlets and sources of information like CHD TV. So thank y'all for all you're doing to bring some truth and a different point of view to the people.
Well, before we run out of time, I do want to pivot to summer. We are, you're in the heart of the hot zone, if you will. So there's a heat issue in the summer. What other tips would you have for folks that relate more to the summertime?
Yeah. Well, kind of the basics that probably everybody knows and hears, and even the conventional guys will talk about hydration, and then watch out for the sun. But there's an asterisk on this. There's more depth here. So the sun's actually very, very beneficial for our health. It's one of our key lifestyle things that we preach and ask our patients to be sure to get more of. Morning sun, evening sun, and middle of the day sun, but do it smartly. We don't encourage burning, obviously, but what we've learned, and the literature's clear on, when you eat a nutrient-dense, anti-inflammatory diet, that means not processed food, real food, but in particular, saturated fats from animals have retinol. That's vitamin A. Plants have the precursor to vitamin A, which is beta-carotene. That's fine too, but it takes a lot of beta-carotene, and there's a lot of enzymatic steps to change that beta-carotene into retinol, but your skin needs retinol. So when your skin is full of good fats, those saturated fats, not the PUFAs, polyunsaturated fatty acids, PUFAs, vegetable oils, seed oils, that's your canola oil. It's all the processed food oils. Those oils, if that's what makes up your cell membranes, which cell membranes are made of fats, so the fats you're consuming get incorporated into your cell membrane. So if your skin cell membranes are full of vegetable oils, that is highly toxic. You put the sun into that, it's going to create a vast amount of oxidative stress and can lead to skin cancer and just skin damage. However, if you have a nutrient-dense diet full of saturated fat and retinol, you can actually handle that sun better, and you have antioxidant enzymes. These enzymes are workers in the body, and these particular enzymes or workers are in the skin to squelch the free radicals. Well, these antioxidant enzymes run off minerals. Minerals are found in real food. Minerals aren't found in processed food. So if you have a real food diet, mineral rich, saturated fat, and retinol rich, you can actually handle the sun better. Now, I'll still burn if I'm in it too long, but I don't burn as much as I used to. So I'll go find the shade or I'll cover up. When it comes to sunscreen, this is a big, big topic. We've got to be careful about what we put on our skin. Our skin's our largest organ. What you put on the skin is going to get into the body almost always. So if you wouldn't eat it, you better be careful about putting it on the skin. And your typical store-bought sunscreens are absolutely toxic to the mitochondria. Mitochondria is your powerhouse. That's what makes energy in your cells. You have hundreds of mitochondria in every skin cell. And for that skin cell to be able to protect itself and do all it needs to do, you've got to have healthy mitochondria. Well, the sunscreen chemicals kill your mitochondria, and therefore you lose your defensive and repair mechanisms for that skin. And a study just came out a couple of months ago that showed chronic daily sunscreen users, typical traditional sunscreen, increase their risk of the 3 top skin cancers, the deadly melanoma, squamous cell, and basal cell carcinomas. Increased risk. And it's because of what I just mentioned with this toxicity factor with the chemical. So I recommend using a zinc oxide-based and mineral-based healthy natural sunscreen. But the zinc oxide needs to not be the micro or nano particle size. So just your regular old school zinc oxide sunscreen base, you can do that. Find some shade, get a good healthy diet going. You can tolerate that sun. Secondly, on the hydration, obviously water, not the sweet drinks. And even on, you think Gatorade, Powerade, you got to be careful because there's sweeteners in those too. I prefer coconut water. It's mineral rich. You can get different flavors of coconut water too. Some kids don't like the taste. That's okay. You can just do water, flavored water, put your own flavoring, not the sugary stuff. But electrolytes is key. There's lots of different electrolyte blends now. They have different flavors. I happen to like Relight, Redmond's Real Salt, Relight out of Utah, but there's others. But you need the minerals. So obviously we want to hydrate well with mineralized or electrolyzed water. But don't forget to eat half your water is what I tell my patients, especially these kids. They're going to be out in the heat and the sun and sweating, playing, all that. They need to eat their water. What's that mean? Well, my son just this morning had a big old bowl full of chia seed pudding, smoothies, obviously hydrating vegetables, raw cucumbers and carrots and all that. There's water in there.
Watermelon.
Watermelon. But when you eat your water, you eat hydrating foods, that water actually absorbs into the body better and slower than just guzzling glass after glass. A lot of that washes through you. So keep that in mind. And a lot of the processed food, that's all dehydrating food. You know, pizza is a dehydrating food. Now, you get a healthy version of a pizza, but it's still dehydrating. So eat an apple with your pizza, or eat a salad with the pizza, or have a smoothie. You know, so just learn about hydrating foods. I love Gina Bria's book, Quench, has some recipes in there. A lot of my families and moms use her recipes. So those are kind of my 2 takes on the sun and the hydration for a summertime tip.
Perfect. You went over it fast. It's so important. I want to ask you a specific question about seed oils, and I'm going to ask it this way. What oils do you have in your home for cooking?
Yep. We have, if we're going to really heat something like frying it or heating it above 300 degrees, basically, I'm using tallow, grass-fed, grass-finished tallow. That's number 1. Sometimes I'll use lard, but tallow's number 1. If it's a light saute, olive oil. Olive oil has a smoke point that's not real high though, so that means it'll burn and go rancid. So if it's a light saute or obviously cold, like on a salad, that's olive oil. Coconut oil and avocado oil, I'll also use if I'm going to go hotter. You know, we have a bunch of okra in our garden. Okra grows well in West Texas. Fried okra. Fried's not the bad. It's what oil are you frying it in and what breading are you using. So I'm going to use avocado oil if I'm going high. I think smoke point on avocado is like 500 degrees. So those are my 3 go-tos on the oils is coconut oil, avocado oil, olive oil, and then tallow or lard. I'll use that also.
Well, we're on the same page on that. I always go organic with my olive oil.
For sure.
You got extra virgin. Yeah.
Yep. You got to really check the source on that olive oil. There's some brands that cut that with canola oil, so just be careful there.
Out of curiosity, I was talking with my old practice that continues under a different name, and the providers there were saying in children, is the pediatric practice, they are still seeing a lot of infections, more than they remember. Are you seeing infections? And second part to my question is, what percentage of your population is vaccinated, unvaccinated, or partially vaccinated?
Well, we've been at this for 14 years now from an integrative perspective. So we kind of have a reputation in this region to be open to the parents' wishes, give true informed consent, educate on risks versus benefit. So I don't have the exact number, but if I was guessing, it's definitely the vast majority are not currently vaccinating. Now, a number of these families came in formerly vaccinating and then stopped. because of an injury or a reaction of some sort. So actually, it's probably quite a bit of partially vaccinated, I would say, but not currently vaccinating. And I mean, there's probably a handful that may be fully vaccinated, but we tend to attract folks that have made the decision to just steward their terrain and just learn to overcome these infections. And I wouldn't say really we're seeing an increase in infection, I don't think, but we tend to have really compliant patients that really get after the diet and lifestyle that we teach. So they tend to have real healthy immune systems and overcome the infections if they do get them.
That's wonderful. Yeah, that's the same dynamic I had in my practice for the last 15 years or so. We were really honoring informed consent and honoring parents' desires, which largely became we don't want to vaccinate anymore. But these were former vaccinating families who had vaccine injuries or vaccine effects. So thank you for being that resource for the folks. You're in what town in Texas now?
Lubbock, which is way out in West Texas,
There's a
almost
medical
to New
school there.
Mexico. Yes, Texas Tech Medical School.
That's probably interesting for you. We can't go into that right now, but you're right there in the heart of the beast where their medical schools are.
Well, yeah, it's tough. There's good people that go like we did with the right intention, but we just didn't get fully and broadly trained from a more holistic perspective. We got that very, very narrow pharmaceutical only. And so,
training.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, to wrap this one up, I'm going to have you maybe just quickly touch on key tips for health, for families, for kids in general. I know you covered the nutrition piece pretty well. What other tips would you have for families if they just want to raise healthy kids?
Well, obviously, real food. And like I mentioned on hydration, really be careful and cognizant of sweet drinks. Not to say not ever have them, but really, really limit. They're everywhere. And their liquid sugar is just deadly to the liver and the mitochondria. Movement's key, especially in this day and age of iPads and iPhones and just technology in the digital age. Getting up and moving is a big, big deal. We need to prioritize it, make it fun, keep it fun. Be outside nature. The Last Child in the Woods is a great book that explains how beneficial nature is. So you got to prioritize it. It's really these basic, simple things our ancestors were doing automatically. But now we have to kind of be careful and cognizant of living like our ancestors in a modern day. So just simply being outside. And lastly, I would say just talking to your kids. Turn all this stuff off and have meaningful conversations. These kids are being bombarded with all sorts of stuff. I mean, anxiety and depression, just mental health is just, it's out of control. And I think these kids feel isolated. They feel alone. They feel judged. The social media stuff. I need how many people to like me and all this stuff. So it's really just this basic get back to the family unit and community, be outside, go take a walk and just talk to your kids. Don't walk with your phone. Leave your phone at home. You'll be okay. You'll survive a few miles without a phone.
Yeah. So I'm always curious to see how parents manage this screen time thing. So you have 6 kids. How much screen time are your kids getting? And what are their ages, by the way?
They range from 8 to 22. So
Okay.
22 and 19 and 17 and 15, 14, and almost 9.
All right.
Yeah.
So they're getting old enough that you probably don't have great control anymore of how much screen time they're getting.
Right. I mean, it has to be almost like we put it away. It's not even in our presence. Because if it's out, there's going to be an attraction to it. And I mean, obviously, especially the older kids, if they're out and about, we want to be able to communicate with them. So it's that balance for sure. But it's really good to just and announce it. Just, hey, we're going to have a device-free night. And hey, let's see if we can stack 3 device-free nights in a row. And especially when it's in the summertime, when you don't have homework, you don't have to get on the computer to get the homework or check your assignments, your messages from your teacher, whatever. The summer is a great time to reset some of those habits. But, at the minimum, let's set some rules on time frame. Okay, you're going to get 30 minutes here, an hour here. If you know it's going to be more of a challenge, a long plane ride, for example, fine, watch a movie. But we have to be at least thinking about these things and not just check out, because you know how these devices are. We'll all get sucked into them. I mean, I'm not immune to it either.
No,
and
absolutely.
They can be used for good too. We just have to have some discipline.
Yeah. Well, wrapping this up, you have a wellness program, Veritas Wellness, right?
Right.
And that's something that I believe anybody can access from anywhere, I guess, in the world.
Yes, we're actually in 5 or 6 countries now, all 50 states we have members. So that's an online education, really, wellness education and support. You can get one-on-one coaching, you can get group coaching. We have, a content library, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I went
we
to your
decided.
website. You have a massive team, and thank you. People out there who are stuck in the mainstream paradigm, if you will, they're struggling sometimes to find anybody that they can trust. And so if you find yourself in that position, check out veritaswellness.com. And Dr. Ben Edwards, you are amazing. You're an incredible gift to the world. I wished I'd gone into family medicine now that I've met someone like you. I just didn't think I was smart enough. And then I realized later that I probably could have done it.
Oh, you definitely could have done it. I had the same thought, though. I'm not smart enough for this, but
Yeah, I mean, it's like you got to learn a little bit about everything. And at the time, as a medical student, you're like, this is overwhelming.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you've been a great service to humanity, too. I've learned a lot from you, and I know a lot of my patients have, and a lot of patients throughout the world. So thank you for all you've done throughout your career and continue to do to bring some truth and education.
Thank you, Dr. Ben. I'm going to have you back on in the near future. Appreciate
Would
your
love
time.
to. Would love to. Thanks for having me.
And you can catch me at kidsfirstforever.com. I always appreciate you sending in comments, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
When did this happen?
The weekend of Halloween weekend of 2011.
All right, so let's go back. He was your first child.
Correct.
So when you guys were expecting him, were you anti-vaccine?
No.
Describe to us what your thoughts on vaccines.
We didn't really think of anything. We just went with, when we went to the appointments, they're like, I got the flu shot.
While you were pregnant?
Yeah.
What did they say to you?
You need this. I'm like, all right, I don't know anything better. You're the doctor. I'm going by what you said. So I ended up getting the vaccine, the flu shot, and then...
Yeah. We had no reason to ever doubt vaccines up until then.
Right, and had you heard of people like me? Like,
No.
Andrew Wakefield, all the people that were sort of, all your friends, all that crazy flat earther down the road that said that vaccines were whatever you thought.
No.
That's what people think of us.
No.
You just hadn't even heard that there could be a problem. You had no idea that there could be a problem.
No idea. Not even the slightest clue.
Okay, so when he's born?
It was 4 days late, 9 pounds.
9 pounds.
Ouch.
And have you got any pictures of him as a baby?
Yes.
Let's have a look at these. You guys are going to absolutely melt this baby. This boy is one beaut. He is a beautiful boy. So let me just hold this up for. I'm just going to take it across. He's a little cutie. So he was born, he was fine. So when the doctor said it's time to give him a vaccine, Hep B, vitamin K, you did not even question this.
We just went along. Okay, doctor.
Whatever you say.
Yep.
Correct.
And did he appear healthy and fine
Yes.
as he was growing? Did he give you eye contact and...
Yeah, he seemed to be developing normally to us.
Right, and you had his 2 months, his 4 months, his 6 months vaccines.
Yeah.
And seemed to be fine
He had a low-grade fever, but they told us, hey, that's normal.
after these vaccines. Yeah.
They told us to do Tylenol before the appointments and do Tylenol after the appointment.
I know, that's what they do.
And now they're telling you not to do that.
So, how old was he when he passed away?
15 months.
So when was the time, how much before was he vaccinated?
He was vaccinated all the way through, and then on Friday, October 28th, at around 4:45 p.m., he received his final doses of vaccines.
Do you know what he had then?
Yep, pneumonia. No.
No, wait, it's on the back of your
Yeah.
t-shirt.
Yeah, I'll show you.
So, DTaP, flu, Hib, pneumococcal.
The flu shot, he had a half a dose in March, and then he had another full dose in October 28th. And we thought that was kind of odd. And they said nothing.
Did you ever at any point say to the doctor, is everything all right with these vaccines? Is it okay for him to have this?
No.
You just completely trusted?
Just kind of came in, said he's due for his shots, and you just kind of go with it.
Describe him as a boy. So he's 15 months old.
Mm-hmm. He was
Is he chatting? Is he saying words?
He was kind of quiet.
He was
Looking
quiet,
back.
but he was definitely like playful, you know, running around, rolling around, playing with his toys, very engaging.
Did he give hugs and stuff? Let's show some of these pictures,
Yep.
shall we? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, he gave you eye contact. You didn't think, oh, my child's brain damaged?
No, not at all. Not even remotely close to that.
There he is eating, I think, chocolate cake.
Oh, yes. That was his first birthday.
Oh, there he is as a baby looking at you. So he seemed to be normal,
Yeah.
happy. Was
Yeah.
he walking?
13 months he started walking.
He started walking at 13 months.
And he was happy.
He also had, well,
Can I show some of these?
sure, milk protein and egg protein allergy.
And how did you know that was coming? Did you feed yourself at any point?
Say that again.
Did you feed him yourself?
Giving him, he had actually had to do like 6 different formulas, I remember.
Yeah.
And they thought it was
Throwing up.
Yeah, they thought it was a possibility that he may have had the milk or egg protein allergy. This is going back, you know, prior to his death, obviously.
Right, now
Before
we
the
know
flu
why.
shot.
And so, so you take him in at 15 months or just
Yep.
before. And who takes him in?
We both do.
We both did.
All right, and he has his vaccines. And how is he? Talk us through sort of as much detail as you can. It's very important.
So it was,
He was crying like crazy.
well, it was Friday, October 28th, 2011. We brought him in at 4:30. You know, around 4:45, you know, the doctor said, okay, I'm going to have the nurses administer the vaccines. And he had been given the vaccines probably around 4:45 or so, 5 o'clock, maybe Friday night. Friday night, he had a low-grade fever. The injection site was a little bit raw. He kind of favored the leg that the injections were in on
What do you
Friday.
mean? What does that mean? He favoured them?
He was dragging
Dragged it a little bit,
okay.
you know, like a little bit of tenderness to it.
Okay.
That was Friday. Saturday, he just wasn't very engaging in his toys like he was prior. Wasn't really interested in doing what he was doing, say, Thursday. Playing with his toys, rolling around, running. He was more subdued, you know, just
Did
kind
you
of
have a temperature or anything?
It's low grade.
low grade. Because remember, Amy had called the hotline and said, you know, he's got a 100, 101 degree temperature. They said, okay, that's normal. Just give him the Tylenol, he'll be fine. And that was Saturday. Sunday, basically the same thing. Very lethargic, not really engaging with his toys or with us, really. Just kind of a lump on a log. Sleepy, very sleepy. And so that was 24 and 48 hours after his vaccines.
Then what happened?
And then the next day, we ended up, it was the 2011 ice storm. So we
Ice storm.
Yes,
Yeah.
so we lost power, so we ended up going to my mom's house. We stayed there for the night, and the next morning, got up like normal, got him dressed, gave him his bottle, and dropped him off at daycare. And then
That was it.
around 2:40 or whatever, I got a call at work. Your son is dead.
No.
I'm like,
Wait,
excuse
what?
me?
That's
I'm
what
like-
they
A
said?
lady called in a
From the
panic.
daycare?
Yeah.
Your son's dead. They're bringing him to the hospital. You got to get there. I'm like, I don't even know what to think. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, is this a joke? She's like, no, it's not a joke.
And then her work proceeded to call me and told me I had to go to my wife's work and take her to the hospital. So I thought something happened to her because she's very allergic to tree nuts. So I thought maybe she had a reaction. So I drove my car to the wrong hospital, and that's when I called my wife and asked, hey, where are you? And she was hysterical, saying that Ryan was dead. and I was at the wrong hospital. So I then proceeded to the correct hospital, where I ran inside, and that's where they took me into a special, like, little smaller room for family, and that's when they said they were doing the best they could for him.
So he wasn't dead.
No, he was dead. He died at daycare. They transported him.
He died at daycare.
Yep. He went in for a nap, and she went in to check on him, and he had been long gone in that short 45-minute window. He had passed in his sleep, and that's when they called the ambulance and they transported him directly to the hospital. But as we were told, there was no chance of him ever coming back. He was cold. He was not warming up. We went in there and sat with him.
Awful. It's disgusting. I'm so sorry. I just remind people of this little boy. Is that him?
Yep.
This is what these vaccines did. This is the reality of vaccination. Death is on the insert, people. This is real. Please learn from Ryan's story. Little baby Ryan here. He should be here with us now.
We were in there pulling for him to come through, but the doctors were like, we're doing the best we can. So after a few minutes of sitting there with him, watching them work on him,
we're gonna make a decision to stop everything.
yeah, they came to us and said that, we'll still work on him if you want, but it's been an hour and a half or so after, hour and a half that they think he's been out, and that if he were to come back, there wouldn't be anything left. He would be pretty much a body. There'd be nothing left. So we had to make a decision to keep going or stop the procedures, and I don't want to live like that, and I'm not going to make myself live like that.
Did you know at that point the vaccines?
No, because everything was such a crash.
Fast pace.
We didn't know, like, was it something that daycare did? Did he choke? Like, no one really knew. And that was on Monday. And then on Tuesday, we were actually picking out his casket, and the medical director called, or the medical examiner called, and said that his physical autopsy was impeccable. So that kind of got our minds going, like, what do you mean impeccable? So we started thinking, he was fine until that Friday when he received those vaccines at 5 o'clock. He was a normal, healthy child enjoying life. He had the vaccines at 5 o'clock, and he wasn't the same after. So our brain started turning then. Wait a minute, something isn't right here. This can't be a coincidence. I mean, literally, he went from a grade A child to an F. He passed away within a short window. So our brain started turning, and then probably that Tuesday we started really, really questioning, hey, it could have been the flu shot. Because everybody has to have the shot. So we would ask the medical examiner, and he's like, listen, that can't happen. Yada, yada, yada. Ask people, that can't happen. So finally, we went for testing with the Boston's Children's Hospital and a Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston. And they did a bunch of testing, and we're going through our genetic panels and whatnot.
Testing on you guys.
Right.
And where's Ryan? What have they done with Ryan's body?
Ryan is buried.
He's buried, okay. Because
Right.
normally they try and cremate these babies very fast.
Right. Yeah, he
And
was
they
buried.
didn't.
So we did testing for months after, DNA panels, genetic panels, everything. Because there was one question on a lab that came back, months later after he had passed, that he may have had a genetic disorder which may have basically shut off his heart.
They wish.
So we went to Boston, and I was surprised that Boston came out and basically said, you don't have it, you don't have it. He didn't have it. He didn't die from that genetic disorder. You're not going to die from it. So that's when they basically came to the conclusion that it was so-called an unexplained death in a child.
Of course.
So at that point, we were contacted by a lady in New Hampshire called Laura Condon, and that's when, we really started learning a lot more about the cases that it's not so rare. It might not be death as the extreme, but there are a lot of things going on with vaccines, and that's when we really started looking into it and really talking to other people that had either similar stories or, you know, just injuries.
Actually, it is much more common death than any of us can ever imagine. Look at Dr. Franz. Did you see the interview with the paediatrician, Dr. Franz? And she stopped vaccinating in the first year in her clinic. No deaths whatsoever. There's babies dying right now as we speak from vaccines. It's disgusting. And I'm so grateful to you guys to come and talk about this, because you are going to save so many babies.
I mean, I've known personally people have told me at least all I can ask for is if people now, if they were kind of clueless like we were when we first started, that if I tell Ryan's story, or if you tell Ryan's story, or whoever, just makes people think, wait a minute, something doesn't add up. And if that can make a difference in somebody's life, then, you know, this is well worth it to us and for Ryan's legacy.
He's such a beautiful boy, and it's so. I've spoken to other parents, and you know, I don't know if you've heard our story with the Bundys. They were our first death story, and the post-traumatic stress, the trauma of what you've been through, never goes. And no one can understand that.
No.
That hasn't been through it. And now, you did go on and have 2 more children. Do you want to talk about your 2 more children? By this time you've worked out it's the vaccines.
So
Is this them?
Yes, it's them.
Okay.
We have a little boy. He's going to be 5 tomorrow.
Oh, he's going to be 5 tomorrow.
And we have, his name is Drew, and we also have a daughter who just turned 2. Her name is Jill, and they are
Is
both
this the latest picture?
Yes.
pretty close.
Yeah.
Yep. They are both unvaccinated.
Totally unvaccinated.
Totally unvaccinated.
Well, Drew, he had the Hep B in the hospital.
Okay, so Drew had the Hep B,
That was it.
And that's it.
and she's completely.
He's completely.
Here's Drew.
Yeah.
And they are happy. They're healthy.
Drew's been talking since he's 13 months old, putting like massive sentences together. Same with Jill. She talks better than we do sometimes.
So, has any doctor dared to even question you guys on vaccines?
When I do take them, which I don't take them anymore, because every time you go there, they're like, "So, you're gonna vaccinate today?" And I'm like, "No."
Do they not know Ryan's story?
Yeah, they ask every time, and I stopped taking them.
What's your daughter called?
Jill?
This little Jill.
Yeah.
Jill looks just like Ryan.
She does.
Yeah, I
Unreal.
I remember asking her when she was little, like, "Are you Ryan?" Because this is freaky.
Oh, she does. Let me show you. Let me show you. I don't know if we've got a picture. That's not.
This one.
Maybe the one. You see, the one I've got up there is
Yeah.
what looks just like. I've already put a picture of him up, but let me just use this one for now because it's not bad. Look, there's Ryan and there's Jill. Look, peeps, and put them together.
This one
You
here.
see how very similar they look? Oh, they're so cute. Did you see that? Ryan and Jill. So has anybody ever? How do we get on that conversation? So nobody dares ask you guys about
No.
vaccines.
So this one too.
Oh, yeah.
That one looks.
Yeah, she just looks just like your sister.
Yeah. So we used the same pediatrician after Ryan passed because we originally told her, you know, we do not feel safe vaccinating our children, and she agreed, and she understood where we were coming from, so she was very acceptable to our wishes. So, you know, they don't go for wellness checkups very often. We don't bring them in. There's no sense of bringing them in if they're healthy.
Hellness, they call them on here.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
The last time they went to the doctor was last year.
and they get a sniffle here and there like everybody else, but compared to what I see for other parents, they are not sick nearly the amount of times as my vaccinated friends' kids.
So now that you know, you've done your own vax study with tragic conclusion. So now that you know this could have been. You could have Ryan right here today. How old would he be? 7?
7.
Yep, 7 years old.
But because of vaccines, because you were lied to, because you trusted, because he's not here, and you have 2 other parents, no vaccines, picture of health. What does that say to you? How you must? Are you not angry?
Yes.
Does that
and,
not
yeah.
make you angry behind with all?
It does. I'll tell you, when you see the bust and you see the amount of signatures on it, it really is like, wow. You know, it really makes you wonder, like, what the hell's going on? You know, you see our son and you talk to a family here and there, and you know it's a problem, but when you see the amount of names on the bus, it really puts it in one picture.
It's heartbreaking,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Like every day, I ask, why did we get picked? I waited so long.
I'll tell you, it gets pretty old. Is the, you know, it's a coincidence. It's a coincidence he died and regressed after his vaccines. It's a coincidence.
How dare they?
You know, they're good for you. It's a coincidence. It's just, you don't know vaccines didn't kill your child. I'm like, all right, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I don't have technical jargon, but I can tell you he was a normal kid. He had his shots and then he died. I don't think you have to be a doctor or a scientist or anybody above anybody to realize what your gut is telling you, that something wasn't right. And it's not a coincidence.
No, it's not a coincidence. And there's no, you know, I mean, did you file in court? Have you?
When we filed, it was too late when we learned, by the time we learned about the process, which they leave that window so short that 2 years goes by and you're still wondering what the hell just happened.
Yeah.
You know, so that window is so small that it's, and many people wouldn't even put 2 and 2 together. Like we didn't, till it was too late.
Well, you have saved so many babies by just telling this story. We're so grateful.
I'm happy we can share his story and let people know that, hey, you know, we're not a made-up story. We're not fake people that you might read on a blog. Like, I'm a real dad. She's a real mom.
And it can happen.
You know,
Yeah. Okay.
People don't. I feel like people are like, whatever. It's not gonna happen to my child. Well, it can happen, and it happens every day.
And unfortunately for many of us, you don't get it until you've lived it.
Exactly.
Because they've done, this has got to be the best marketing, brainwashing, murderous plan ever devised worldwide. It's the same story in every country.
Yep. There's no doubt about that.
We are so sorry. Well, everybody here sending you so much love. Is there anything else you want to tell the people that Ryan travels with us on the bus? I realised that Ryan's picture's been on the bus for some time. I don't know how that happened. And we chat away to Ryan. And Ryan's, I'll show you guys. I'll just take these 2. Sorry, YouTube, not taking it. There's Ryan up here. And I was telling them, I didn't really know who Ryan was when I knew he'd died of vaccines. Bella's got this picture in. There's Ryan. And I always chat away because he looks just like Toby, didn't he? Baby Toby. And this is Sean, and he looks just like baby Billy. So just chatting away there. But yes, he's very much part of our crew. Travels with us.
It's a good thing.
We have an army of all these peeps. I swear they're protecting this bus.
I wouldn't doubt it.
You know, Sharpies on the bus, they're not supposed to be on a bus. They're not supposed to be. People keep saying in the RV specialists, like, there's no way this bus should be on the road. There's nothing about it that works. And there's no way those names should be on the bus. There's nothing about it that means that. You look up Sharpies on the... No, they will wash off. They will not.
Yeah.
It works.
We're going to win this. We are winning this. You two are amazing. Ryan, with all his buddies up there. And you've got two beautiful children. We'll never forget Ryan. Well, you know, he's teaching so many people the true dangers of vaccines, but really desperately sorry for your loss. Now, one day when I get back to Austin, we'll plant a tree, and we're having a whole line of trees of all of our beautiful. It's going to be a walk of love and remembrance.
Every year for Ryan's birthday, we do random act of kindness.
Oh, that's a fantastic thing to do.
Yep.
And then on Christmas, we do Toys for Tots in memory of Ryan.
And a lot of friends and family really help out and do a lot of gift giving and kind gestures, you know, in his name.
And people are just saying that Ryan will never be forgotten. I'm just reading out that. So you've got a lot of people. Ryan goes on in all our hearts.
He won't be forgotten because we're not going anywhere.
No, and thank you for doing this. Keep telling his story.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you for you guys for all your work.
Oh, I love your shirt as well. It's very okay. And anything else?
No, just all I ask
Just
is
educate yourself.
listen to our story, whether you're pro or anti. Listen to what happened.
And your gut, too.
Yeah, listen to your gut. Take Ryan's story. And like I said, I'm a real dad. I'm not made up. Neither is his story.
They're sending you so much love. You're going to have to read back. Periscope, We Are Vaxxed, YouTube. You would watch them back.
I will.
All right. Big love to you guys, and they're sending you lots
Thank
of
you
love.
guys.
Thank you.
Love you all.